I confronted my sister after she named her baby after my ex, and now she's saying I'm being ridiculous. I 28F have a sister, Chloe 32F, who just had her first baby, a little boy. She kept the name a surprise until he was born, and everyone in the family was excited to finally meet him and learn his name. But when she announced she'd named him Ethan, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Ethan isn't just any random name to me. It's the name of my ex-boyfriend. We dated for 4 years, and he put me through the ringer. He lied, cheated, and left me an emotional wreck, which I'm still working through even though it's been a couple of years since we split. The breakup was horrible, and Chloe saw me fall apart. She was there for me, listened to me cry, and encouraged me to heal. So, hearing that she'd named her son after the person who hurt me most felt like a slap in the face. After a few days of wrestling with my emotions, I decided to talk to her. I kept it light at first, saying, "Hey, did you consider that the name might be a little hard for me?" She just looked at me like I was crazy and brushed it off, saying, "It's just a name. You're being ridiculous." She went on to say she's always liked the name Ethan and thought I was being selfish to ask her to change it. She said that my history with someone named Ethan shouldn't affect her child's name and that I was being unreasonable. I left feeling humiliated, like I was wrong for even bringing it up. But I couldn't shake the feeling that she was being inconsiderate. I thought, am I wrong for feeling hurt by this? I tried talking to our mom, hoping she'd see my side, but she took Chloe's side, saying, "It's her baby, not yours. Maybe you need to separate the name from your ex." But it's not that simple. I spent years trying to get over Ethan, and hearing that name is still a trigger for me. My mom's words felt dismissive, like I should just be over it already. Since then, every time I hear Chloe talk about baby Ethan, I get this weird, sinking feeling. I don't want to feel this way about my nephew, who's innocent in all this. But every mention of his name drags me back to one of the worst times in my life. Chloe's acting like it's no big deal, and maybe I should be over it. But it's hard when the hurt is still there. I talked to a couple of friends, and their reactions were mixed. Some think I'm overreacting and should let it go for the sake of peace in the family. Others agree that it's an odd choice and think she should have at least acknowledged how I might feel. One friend suggested Chloe might be trying to reclaim the name for something positive, but honestly, that feels dismissive of my feelings. Chloe hasn't reached out since our talk, and I'm not sure what to do. Part of me feels like I made a big deal out of nothing, but another part of me feels so hurt that she didn't consider my feelings at all. This wasn't just any relationship, it was one that broke me, and she knows that. So, Aita for bringing it up. Should I just suck it up and let it go for the sake of family harmony, or was I right to be honest with her? Update 1, around 3 weeks later. Thank you all so much for your support and feedback. It honestly helped me feel less alone in this. I didn't expect so many people to understand, and hearing others' insights made me feel validated in how much this whole thing has affected me. Since I posted, I've mostly kept my distance from Chloe and family gatherings to give myself some space. Constantly hearing my nephew's name has been rough, and I needed time to sort out my feelings. I also spent a lot of time questioning myself, wondering if I was being unreasonable or if I needed to just get over it. But every time I thought about it, I felt the same way. It's not just about the name itself. It's about how much that name still triggers painful memories of my ex, and Chloe didn't take that into account. About a week ago, Chloe reached out, asking if we could meet and talk things through. I agreed, hoping it might help both of us understand each other a bit better. When we met up, I tried to be as honest as I could, explaining that I wasn't just holding on to bitterness, but that hearing my nephew's name was like a constant reminder of a traumatic period in my life. I explained that it wasn't just a small discomfort, it was something I was really struggling with, and I just wanted her to understand that. Chloe admitted that she didn't realize how deeply this would affect me. She said she'd assumed I'd moved on from my ex by now and thought I was overreacting at first. She even apologized for being dismissive and acknowledged that she could have been more understanding about it. But she also made it clear that she wasn't going to change her son's name. She still feels that Ethan is the right name for him, and she hopes I'll eventually be able to accept it and move forward. While I appreciate her apology and that she's finally taking my feelings more seriously, it's still bittersweet. I'm glad she understands now, but I'm still left dealing with all the difficult emotions her choice has stirred up. I'm working on it with my therapist, and thankfully, she's been reminding me that it's okay to feel conflicted. I don't have to force myself to feel fine with everything right away. Edit. Just to clarify, I never asked Chloe to change the name. I just wanted her to acknowledge how hard this was for me, which she finally did. It's not about wanting her to make decisions based on my trauma, but a little empathy from her would have meant a lot. I'm not sure what this means for our relationship long term, but I'm doing my best to navigate it. Thanks again for all your support. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. Update 2, another month later. Hey everyone, I wanted to share an update because a lot has happened, and I've been processing even more since my last post. Thank you again for the support and advice. I've reread your comments many times over the last month, and it's helped more than I can say. After my last update, I kept working with my therapist on managing my reactions to the name and how to move forward with my relationship with Chloe. As much as I was hoping time and therapy would make this easier, it's been a slow process. I still feel a pang every time I hear Ethan, and it just brings me back to some really painful memories. I want to be there for my nephew and Chloe, but every family gathering is now tinged with this uncomfortable reminder of my past. A few days ago, Chloe reached out and asked if I could come over to help her with something for the baby. I decided to go, thinking it might be a good opportunity to see if I could manage things better and be there for her without getting too distracted by my feelings. When I arrived, she was welcoming and seemed genuinely happy to see me, which made me hopeful that maybe things could improve. But then, as soon as I walked in, she said something like, "I know it's still hard for you, but I'd love for you to help make baby Ethan feel special in your life." Hearing that just made my heart sink. I felt like she still didn't fully get it, like she was minimizing what I was feeling by casually bringing it up that way. I just nodded and tried to focus on helping with the baby, but it was hard to keep my emotions in check. Later, when I got home, I sent her a long message explaining that I still felt like she wasn't respecting my feelings. I told her that, while I want to be a supportive sister and aunt, I need her to meet me halfway by not pushing this bonding angle so much. She responded, saying she understood but hoped I'd be able to separate the name from my ex over time and see her son as a new, positive association with the name. She also mentioned again that she wished I'd bring it up less, as it's not healthy to dwell on the past. That response was tough to swallow. I get that she loves the name, and I know her son isn't to blame for any of this, but there's a part of me that just feels like she's not seeing the bigger picture here. I'm genuinely happy for her and her family, but her insistence on framing this as something I need to just get over feels dismissive. Edit for clarification. I don't expect Chloe to completely avoid saying her son's name around me, nor am I asking her to stop talking about him. I just wanted her to be more mindful of how she approaches this topic, especially when it's directly related to my involvement. I know healing is my own responsibility, but a little understanding from her would go a long way. At this point, I'm unsure how things will go from here. I might still need more distance and time, and I've told her as much. We'll see where things stand in a few more weeks, but I think I'm going to have to keep setting boundaries until I feel okay again. I'll update again if anything changes. Thanks, everyone. Update 3, 2 months later. Hey everyone, it's been a while. Thanks again for all your support. It's meant a lot as I've been working through this. Things have taken a few turns since I last posted, so here's what's been going on. After my last update, I decided to pull back a bit more from family gatherings and communication with Chloe. Every interaction still felt like a painful reminder, and I realized that stepping away might be what I needed to heal, even if it meant more distance from my nephew. So I didn't attend a few family events, which my parents noticed right away. My mom asked if I was avoiding Chloe, and I admitted that, for now, I needed space to work through things on my own. I hadn't heard much from Chloe during this time, but a week ago, she reached out and asked if we could meet one-on-one to talk. I was hesitant, but I agreed, hoping maybe this could be the conversation where we really cleared the air. When we met, Chloe was much softer and seemed genuinely open. She apologized again for not fully understanding my feelings earlier. She said she'd done some thinking and finally recognized that this wasn't just holding on to the past, but was more complicated for me than she'd realized. She admitted that she'd initially felt defensive about her choice because it was so important to her, but now she saw how dismissive she might have been. We had a long talk where I explained that, while I never wanted her to change her son's name, I just wanted her to acknowledge how hard it was for me. She listened and reassured me that she didn't expect me to be okay overnight, and that she now understood why I'd felt hurt and pressured. I could tell she was really listening, not just brushing it off as me being sensitive. That alone made me feel a little more hopeful. Since then, Chloe and I have slowly been rebuilding our relationship. She's been more considerate, even finding ways to help me connect with my nephew without making the name a central focus. I'm realizing that, while I still have some healing to do, this has shown me that my sister does care. She just needed time to understand. Final edit. I want to thank everyone who followed along and offered support through this journey. It's still a process, and I'm not all healed just yet. But Chloe's willingness to listen and be more sensitive has made a world of difference. I'm hopeful that, with a little more time, we can fully reconnect and move forward as a family. Thanks again, everyone.